Grease my little guzzlers. Oh, no, I'm not drinking it. Well, I'm not drinking out the bottom yet. There is a little bit of Guinness in there because I've poured most of it into here. I've got 300 ml of Guinness in there because we're going to make some mini Guinness cupcakes. So they're going to be like a dark chocolatey cupcake with a buttercream. Now you could, if you wanted, make these into black velvet cupcakes. You could put a bit of champagne in the buttercream that's going on top, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to instead just make some Guinness cupcakes with a buttercream topping, but we're going to add a little bit of Irish cream to it to flavour it. But first off, we want to make the cupcakes. In this bowl I've got 200 grams of self-raising flour, and I've got 100 grams of almond flour, ground almonds. We'll mix that in there. I've got some soft brown sugar. I've got 350 grams of that. In that goes. And then we're going to add some cocoa powder. Now, I want them nice and dark, like a Guinness is. So I've got here 7 tablespoons of normal dark cocoa powder. But in here I've got 3 tablespoons of black cocoa powder. The stuff that's really dark but not perhaps as chocolatey. And then the final thing that gets everywhere, it's almost like carbon powder. And then I've got a teaspoon of bicarbonate soda, which as it happens was all the bicarb I had left, so that's quite handy. And I'm just going to mix these dry ingredients together, and then all we're going to want, like I said, is that 300 mils of Guinness, 2 whole eggs, and some nice softened butter. I've got 200 grams of that. Here's the butter going in, and I'm now just going. I might have to go to a wooden spoon for this. Now, we could use a mixer, a little hand mixer, but this amount of powder at the moment is going to have that going everywhere. So I might just switch to a wooden spoon at this point just to help blend that in. And also remember, I'm going to put those eggs into it in a minute. Crack the eggs into that bowl, just going to lightly beat them, and now we're going to mix those in. And then in a second in will go that Guinness. Now obviously you need to be careful when you pour the Guinness out if you're going to measure it, because obviously we don't want a big head on it, otherwise you won't see how much you're putting in there. So pour it carefully, plus it means you get some left over for on. So let's start adding final ingredient, our Guinness. And so now what you want to do is get this all nicely mixed together. You can hear that, you might not, but that's fizzing away. Obviously that's all the CO2 that was still in the beer. So you want your oven on 180, or in my case, because it's a fan, 160. And we'll get some cupcake trays out, and I've got my cupcake liners there. Now, you could make muffins with these if you want, but actually I'm going to make, for a change, I'm going to make some small cupcakes. What most people would think of as cupcakes. So I need to just make sure all the lumps are out of that, all that butter that is blended in, and then we'll be ready to start making the cakes. But what I'm going to do now is just 2/3 fill these cases. Okay, it's quite a runny batter, as it were, and I might have to top some of these up. And then, like I say, these are going to go into a 160-degree fan oven. Anything from sort of 15 minutes upwards. Obviously, like with most cakes, we're going to do it until we put a cocktail stick or whatever into one or two, and they come out clean. So that's the cakes out, cupcakes out. You can see they are nice and dark and black, just like the Guinness. So now what we're going to do is make, like I say, a buttercream topping, icing or frosting or whatever you want to call it. Then we're going to flavour with some orange cream liqueur. So I've got some softened butter, 200 grams of that, and I'm going to start by using my mixer to get that nice and light and fluffy. So here I've got 400 grams of icing sugar, and I'm going to gradually mix this in a little bit at a time, obviously, because like I'm already getting, I don't want too many clouds of icing sugar everywhere, although I can see it's doing it already. So I'm just going to gradually incorporate that into that and whip it all up. So this is now quite stiff because obviously we're going to put some liquid into it. First thing I'm going to do is add half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of the Irish cream liqueur. I'm going to whip that in, and if necessary I'll add 1 more tablespoon. So obviously any alcohol in the Guinness cakes is gone, but that will be alcoholic. Ooh. So now on our cool cupcakes, we're going to give it a nice creamy head, just like your typical pint Guinness. So just going to go through now and pipe them on there, and then we can have a taste. Right, that's the cakes finished. That one went a bit wonky. Didn't knock enough air bubbles out of the piping bag. Kept farting at me and kept getting a little bit of a bit of a mess. But here we go. Let's give it a go. Quite a moist cake. I'm not sure. Let's try that bit of cake. It fell off the bottom. I was going to say the Baileys, you're definitely getting that with the Irish cream liqueur. It's not particularly chocolatey, so I think the Guinness is sort of coming through, but it is a bit overpowered by the buttercream. But there you go. Your mini Guinness cupcake. With some grill. Sorry, with some Guinness.